What's up guys, and today I'm going to be doing an operator analysis on Glaz. For Glaz's primary, he only has one option in weaponry, which is the OTS-3. It's a semi-automatic, medium to long range sniper rifle. This gun has 152 damage, which basically makes it a 2-hit weapon, even with a suppressor added to it. For my sights, I usually run a reflex sight or a holographic sight, but the red dot works just as well. For the barrel attachment, I highly recommend putting on a muzzle brake, because once you put Glaz's flip side on, the gun's gonna have a lot of recoil to it. For Glaz's secondary weapons, he has the choices between the PMN or the GSH-18. I personally prefer the power over the capacity when it comes to my pistols. For the attachments, I usually run a silencer for my pistols, mainly because I don't want to be noticed when I'm shooting out cameras when I'm inside a building. As for Glaz's gadgets, you have the choices between a claymore or smoke grenades. Me personally, I always pick claymores. Reason being is because I don't really like how the smoke mechanic works in this game. The way you view the smoke is not the same way the enemy views the smokes, and this has gotten me killed plenty of times, so I always avoid using smoke grenades. Claymores on the other hand are a way better addition to your arsenal. Every time I'm on attack, I always have to worry about people flanking me. Having a claymore basically eliminates this problem. Even if an enemy spots the claymore and shoots it, if enemy shoots your claymore, you're going to hear the noise, which basically just gives you a heads up that they're going to come up behind you. So if you're picking between smoke grenades or claymores, in my opinion, claymores are always the obvious option when it comes to those two. So now I'm going to be talking about Glaz's special ability, which is his flip up sight. When Glaz's sight is toggled on, it gives you a magnified view of whatever scope you're using. This zoomed in sight gives you a huge advantage over your enemy. Since you have a magnified scope, seeing into a room is a lot more easier, and it gives you a better chance of seeing the enemy. One thing to note though, is that since you have the magnifying scope on, the recoil becomes really powerful. This basically means that your first shot is super important when shooting with Glaz. So if you're about to make your first shot, you should be really confident that you're going to hit the person. Because once you miss your first shot, every other shot from them will be really inaccurate because of the recoil. If Glaz has a scope toggled off, the recoil is basically non-existent. So if you want to be a good Glaz player, you gotta know when to use your scope and when not to use it. For example, if you're going up the stairs, it's best to toggle off your scope so you can have better vision as you climb up or down the stairs. An example of when to actually put on your scope is when you're trying to peek a corner or push a hallway. A good Glaz player would know when to use his scope, whether he is inside the building or not. Now let's talk about Glaz's role in the team. When the attacking team spawns in, Glaz should always be the one looking out for spawn killers. Since Glaz does have that flip up scope, he could easily spot the spawn killers. This is very vital when you're starting the round, because every teammate that you lose due to spawn killers just makes your odds of winning the round a lot more smaller. Also, keep in mind that just because you're Glaz doesn't mean that you're not prone to being spawn killed. So when you're playing Glaz, make sure to make yourself very discreet when you're trying to kill any enemy trying to spawn kill. Once your teammates have finally made it inside the building, you can play Glaz in either two ways, really passive or really aggressive. The most common way I see people play Glaz is really passive. When people play really passive as Glaz, they are usually outside providing cover fire from a tower. This often makes people really afraid when they're walking around the objective room. For certain maps like plane or house, you have to be very cautious when it comes to enemies coming outside, because more often than not, you will have one or two enemies come outside and try to take a shot at you. That's why I suggest putting a claymore in areas people usually come out of. One thing to really consider when playing really passive is the time. If it's been around 2 minutes and you've been playing passive the whole round with Glaz and haven't gotten a single kill, you are honestly wasting time. I've had plenty of teammates who've played Glaz and they waited until the last 30 seconds to get inside the actual building, and this is just setting yourself up to lose the round for your team. If you're noticing that you can't provide any damage from the outside, it's time for you to move on and play really aggressive inside the building. And this leads me to my next topic, which is playing really aggressive with Glaz. A lot of people feel that Glaz is kind of a useless attacker, mainly because they think that he only can use his weapon outside. But I totally disagree. Most times when I play Glaz, I play him very aggressive. I often go inside and push the objectives as fast as I can. Glaz's gun is always a 2-hit weapon, so you shouldn't be afraid of any defender that comes at you. Also, use that red scope to your advantage. You shouldn't think just because you're inside a building that you can't toggle Glaz's scope on. I've been in so many situations where I was peeking the corner and I got a headshot on an enemy mainly because my scope was on. When Glaz's scope is toggled on, you get such a clear view of what you're looking at. Also, Glaz's gun is a lot different than all the other operators, so it's going to take a lot of practice and getting used to in order to use his scope in the most efficient way. One last note about Glaz's gun. His bullets go through the windows in plane, and they also go through castle barricades. And if you shoot a little bit over a clip at the castle barricades, they actually break. This is something to keep in mind next time you play Glaz. Now I'm going to be talking about the mistakes people make while playing Glaz. The most common mistake I see people make is not using their sight inside the building. Just because you have that toggle up sight that magnifies your view, doesn't mean that you can only use it outside. If you are peeking an enemy, use that scope to your advantage. Since you have a more magnified view of all the defenders, you get much more clarity when peeking the enemy. Also, if you're going down a long hallway, it's a lot easier to see your enemies with the red scope on. One thing that you could do inside the building while you have your scope on is to hold very narrow angles. Since your scope is very magnified, it's very easy to shoot your enemy through that very narrow angle. The second mistake I notice people make is not utilizing the towers correctly. On maps like Plane or House, you need to be aware of how long you've been there. Once you get 1 or 2 kills with Glaz, you need to get out of that treehouse or out of that tower, because if you don't, the enemy will eventually just come out and kill you. And the last mistake I see people often make is that people don't hip fire with Glaz when they're really close to their enemy. I know hip firing is very inaccurate, but in certain situations it actually works. I've found hip firing most effective when I'm turning hard corners or an enemy is trying to rush me. So don't be afraid to hip fire with Glaz. So now guys, I'm be rating Glaz on 3 things, which is loadouts, gadgets, and team efficiency. For Glaz's loadout, I'm gonna have to give him a 7 out of 10. Glaz's OTS-3 is a great weapon. The main reason that his score went down on his loadouts is because he doesn't really have much of a variety to pick from. Besides that, everything else is awesome. His pistols are great. He has the option for claymores, which makes his loadout way better. But I just wish he had a second sniper to pick from. Now moving on to Glaz's gadget, I'm gonna have to give him a 7 out of 10 for this one. Glaz's flip up sight is something I like using inside and outside the map. It provides you the option to fight outside or in, and it gives you a completely clear sight line. Keep in mind that if you start using Glaz for the first time, it's going to take you some time to get used to his gun and his flip up sight. So don't get discouraged if you start missing a lot with Glaz when you first start using him. Just keep practicing with Glaz and eventually you'll be really good with him. Despite this, Glaz still gets a 7 out of 10 for his gadget. Even though it's really fun using his sight, it doesn't really bring anything new to the team. Yes, there's occasions where you could provide sniper support, but besides that, you're really just another attacker. Now for Glaz's team efficiency, he gets a 7 out of 10 for that one. Since Glaz could actually provide cover from the outside, it makes pushing the objective for your team a lot more easier, as a lot of enemies won't walk by the windows or get near the windows because they're scared to get shot from you. Also, Glaz provides protection when it comes to spawn killing. Glaz's score for team efficiency is kinda average, mainly because he really isn't a game changer, but he's just really fun to play. And on some maps, he can provide support from the outside. This makes his overall score a 7 out of 10. Overall, Glaz is a really good attacker if you really want to play aggressive or passive. He doesn't really have an important role in the team, but he is a great assault operator. He can help from all the way outside or even in the front lines. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button. And if you want to see more operator videos like this, then click on that subscribe button. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.